It was Christmas Eve, the kind of snowy evening that blanketed our little town in a silent, pristine white. Our home was aglow with festive lights, and the scent of pine and gingerbread filled the air. Amanda was bustling about, her cheeks flushed with excitement, or so I thought. Our twin boys, Max and Miles, were nearly vibrating with anticipation of Santa's visit. "Michael, could you please get the Santa suit from the attic?" Amanda called out as she adjusted the stockings above the fireplace. "Dad should be here any minute, and I want everything to be perfect." I nodded, retrieving the suit we had convinced my grandfather to wear tonight. At 78, Grandpa Joe still had a twinkle in his eye and a zest for life that made him the perfect Santa. I chuckled to myself, imagining his robust laughter filling our home, bringing joy not just to our boys but to all of us. Grandpa Joe arrived, dusting snow off his shoulders, his eyes twinkling under the brim of his hat. "Ready to bring some Christmas magic?" I asked, handing him the suit. "With bells on," he declared with a hearty laugh. As he changed into Santa, Amanda pulled me aside, her emerald eyes gleaming under the twinkling lights. "Isn't this wonderful, Michael?" "Everything is just perfect," she whispered, her breath a warm caress against my cheek. I smiled, but a pang of unease nagged at me. Amanda had been distant lately, her smiles more measured, her touches fewer. I chalked it up to holiday stress. We returned to the living room just as Santa, Grandpa Joe, emerged in full regalia, bellowing a jolly ho, ho, ho. The kids shrieked with delight, rushing to tug at his coat, their laughter a balm to my mounting worries. The evening progressed with unwrapping presents and sipping hot cocoa, the warmth of the fire crackling against the cold pressing at the windows. After tucking the boys into bed, eyes bright with the joy only Christmas can bring to children, Amanda kissed their foreheads, whispering, Santa might just have one more surprise tonight. The hint of mischief in her voice should have alarmed me then, but it was lost in the shuffle as we returned downstairs. Grandpa Joe had lingered, helping to clean up the remnants of our celebration. Amanda excused herself, mentioning something about a headache. As the minutes ticked by, I realized both Amanda and Grandpa Joe were unusually quiet. Concern edged my thoughts as I made my way to our bedroom, calling out, "Amanda, is everything okay?" No answer. The muffled sounds drew me to the slightly ajar door. What I saw froze me in place, a tableau so surreal it bordered on the grotesque. Grandpa Joe, still clad in bits of his Santa suit, was with my wife in a way no Christmas story would dare recount. The betrayal sliced through me, cold and sharp as the winter air. Rage and disbelief warred within me as I stood there, unnoticed. How could this happen? My wife, my grandfather, the pillars of my life, now the architects of my agony. They didn't see me leave, they didn't see the cold determination settle over me. This Christmas would mark the end of our family's innocence and the beginning of my calculated revenge. As I stepped out into the snow, the crisp air felt like a slap, awakening a part of me I didn't recognize, a part that craved retribution. The festive lights blurred through my tears, each one a reminder of the deception that had festered under my roof. This was just the beginning. Amanda and Grandpa Joe would soon learn that betrayal, especially during the season of giving, comes at a high price. My revenge would be thorough, exacting, and final. Tonight, the ghosts of Christmas past were the least of our worries. The morning after, the sun dared to shine, mocking the darkness that had settled in my heart. I watched as the light streamed through the frosted windows, casting a glow on the remnants of last night's betrayal. The pain was sharp, a constant throb that echoed each beat of my racing heart. I sat at the kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee in hand, waiting. Amanda walked in, her hair tousled from sleep, her face serene, unaware that our world had shifted on its axis. She smiled, reaching for the coffee pot. "Good morning," she chimed, her voice too cheerful, too normal. I nodded, my voice tight. "We need to talk." Her smile faltered, a flicker of concern crossing her features. "Is everything okay?" she asked, sitting across from me, her brow creasing. "Did you enjoy your gift last night?" My words were cold, deliberate. Confusion clouded her eyes. "What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb, Amanda." I saw you and Grandpa Joe last night. The accusation hung heavy between us, a tangible force that sucked the warmth from the room. Her face drained of color, her lips parting in shock. Michael, Save it, I snapped, my anger a living thing, coiling tight in my gut. I saw everything. How long has this been going on? Tears welled in her eyes, her hands trembling as she clasped them together. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. A mistake? Is that what you call it? I stood, my chair scraping harshly against the tile. How could you do this to me? To our family? I'm sorry, she sobbed, her voice breaking. Please, we can fix this. Fix this? I scoffed, my heart hardening with each sob that racked her body. There's nothing left to fix. It's over, Amanda. She reached for me, desperation etching her features. Please, don't do this. Think of the boys. The boys, I repeated, the word bitter. Yes, let's think about what's best for them. Growing up in a house full of lies? I won't allow it. I walked to the phone, my hand steady as I dialed. What are you doing? Amanda's voice was panicked, her eyes wide. I'm calling a lawyer, I said, the finality in my voice silencing her protests. I want a divorce. The line clicked, and I spoke to the receptionist, my words clipped and precise. As I hung up, the reality of my decision settled in. This was the first step in my revenge, a necessary severance. Amanda was crying now, her body racked with sobs. I watched her, my resolve steeling. You should leave, I said, my voice devoid of warmth. Go to Joe's. I'll stay here with the boys. Her sobs filled the room, a haunting melody to the ruin of our marriage. How could you throw away everything we had, she pleaded, her voice a whisper of despair. Everything we had was a lie, I replied, my own pain surfacing briefly. You did that, not me. She stood, wiping her tears, a broken figure framed by the morning light. I'll go, she whispered, her defeat tangible. But this isn't the end, Michael. We need to talk about how to handle this with the boys. We will, I agreed, my tone unyielding. But for now, you need to leave. As the door closed behind her, the silence of the house enveloped me. I sat back down, the cold coffee a mirror to my frozen heart. This was just the beginning. My plan for retribution was set in motion, and I would not stop until justice was served. My revenge would be thorough, and Amanda would learn the hard way that betrayal comes with a price. In the quiet aftermath of her departure, I began plotting my next move. The holidays had just taken a turn, and not even Santa could deliver a miracle to mend what had been broken. The house felt emptier than it had in years, the silence echoing off the walls with a chill that matched my mood. I moved through the rooms mechanically, clearing away the remnants of a Christmas now tainted with betrayal. Each decoration, once a symbol of familial joy, now seemed a mocking reminder of the facade my life had been. The phone rang, slicing through the silence. I answered, my voice neutral, expecting a call from the lawyer. Instead, it was Grandpa Joe. Michael, we need to talk, he began, his voice heavy. There's nothing to discuss, I replied, the edge in my tone sharp as the winter air outside. Please, I owe you an explanation. You owe me nothing but to stay away from my family, I cut him off, the cold fury building. You've done enough, don't you think? There was a pause, a heavy breath. I'm sorry, Michael. I never wanted to hurt you. Sorry doesn't change what happened, I snapped back. Don't call here again. I hung up before he could respond, a bitter satisfaction in denying him even that small comfort. The next few days were a blur of legal consultations and quiet evenings alone. The lawyer was efficient, outlining the steps for the divorce proceedings and custody arrangements. I listened, asking questions where needed, my mind already several moves ahead. Revenge was a meticulous plan unfolding one step at a time. During a rare moment of quiet, I found myself in the boys' room, watching them play, their innocence a stark contrast to the complexity of adult betrayals. Max looked up, his brown eyes curious. "Daddy, why is Mommy not here?" he asked, his voice small. I knelt beside him, my heart heavy. "Mommy needed some time to think about some things," I said, choosing my words carefully. "Is she coming back?" Miles chimed in, his lip quivering slightly. "She will visit," I assured them, squeezing their hands. "But for a little while, it's just going to be us guys." Their nods were hesitant, but they returned to their toys, the simplicity of their world a comfort they clung to. That night, as I lay in the quiet, the darkness was a canvas for my thoughts. Amanda's betrayal had shattered more than just our marriage, it had broken the very foundation of what I had believed our life to be. My trust was demolished, but from its ruins, a resolve had risen. I would ensure that Amanda and Joe paid for their deception, not just through the divorce, but through every facet of their lives. The next morning, I started by calling Joe's employer. As the owner of a local hardware store, Joe's reputation was his livelihood. "I thought you should know what kind of man is running your store," I began, detailing the affair with the calculated calm of a storm brewing. Then, I contacted mutual friends, my narrative steady and factual. Sympathy was a powerful ally, and I wielded it with precision, painting a picture of a family man wronged. By the end of the day, the whispers had started, the small town's rumor mill churning with the news. Amanda called that evening, her voice strained. "Michael, what are you doing?" "People are talking." "That's the point, Amanda," I replied, my words cold. "You didn't think of our family, of me, when you made your choices. Now, you get to live with the consequences." "You're ruining everything," she accused, desperation tinging her tone. "Like you ruined our marriage?" I countered, each word a nail in the coffin of our relationship. She was silent, the weight of the truth settling between us like a chasm too wide to cross. "Goodbye, Amanda," I said finally, hanging up before she could respond. The silence that followed was not empty but filled with a sense of purpose. My actions today were just the beginning. There would be no quick resolutions, no easy forgiveness. My plan was in motion, and I would see it through to the end, no matter the cost. The intrigue of my retribution was only just beginning to unfold. The winter chill had hardened the ground, much like the resolve that had settled deep within me. Each day that passed marked a new tactic in my campaign of retribution against Amanda and Joe. Their lives, once intertwined with mine in what I believed was love and trust, were now the targets of my calculated wrath. One morning, as the first light of dawn crept through the bare branches of the trees outside, I was at my computer, orchestrating the next phase of my plan. I had discovered a secret that Amanda had kept well hidden, a past indiscretion that, if brought to light, would ruin her socially and professionally. Armed with this information, I crafted an anonymous tip to her company's compliance department. The email sent, I leaned back, a cold smile playing on my lips as I imagined her world crumbling. Later that day, Joe received a visit from a few determined tax auditors, a little surprise I had arranged through an anonymous tip about possible tax evasion. It was amazing what one could achieve with the right information and a bit of dark motivation. As the days turned into weeks, the fallout from my actions was palpable. Amanda was suspended pending an investigation, her reputation in tatters. Joe's business suffered under the scrutiny of the tax audit, his customers dwindling as the rumors I had seeded took root and spread. Then, the final act. I had one last card to play, a revelation that would cut deeper than any other. I invited both Amanda and Joe to meet me at a remote, windswept cliff that overlooked the icy ocean. It was here that I planned to reveal the depth of their betrayal, not just to each other, but to the world. They arrived together, uncertainty etched on their faces. The wind howled around us, a fitting chorus to the drama that was about to unfold. "Amanda, Joe," I began, my voice steady against the roaring wind, "you both thought your actions would never catch up to you. You were wrong." "What are you talking about, Michael?" Amanda's voice was barely above a whisper, her eyes wide with fear. I pulled out a series of photos and handed them to her. "Look," I said simply. As she and Joe looked at the photos, their faces drained of color. The pictures were of them, but not in any compromising position. Instead, they were photos of them entering and leaving various locations known for their illicit activities, locations I had fabricated and staged. "This is impossible," Joe began, but I cut him off. "Not just possible, but now public knowledge," I replied, showing them the live feed on my phone where their images were being broadcasted to every social media platform I could access. "You made a fool of me, but now the whole world will see you for what you are," I said, the bitterness in my voice whipped away by the wind. "This is insane, Michael!" Amanda cried, stepping toward me, her hands outstretched as if she could pull back the revelation with her bare hands. "No, what was insane was thinking you could betray me and not suffer the consequences," I retorted, stepping back, my eyes locked on theirs. The hatred in their eyes was matched only by the satisfaction swelling within me. I had exposed them, degraded them, and dismantled their lives piece by piece. As they turned away, defeated and destroyed, I knew this was the last time I would ever face them. They had underestimated my capacity for revenge, and now they would live with the results of their deception forever apart from each other and from me. The cold satisfaction settled in my chest as I watched them disappear from my life, the sound of the crashing waves below a fitting end to the tumultuous storm they had caused in my life. I turned away, knowing that the poison of betrayal would no longer taint my world. They were gone, and with them, the pain they had brought. My revenge was complete, as insidious and ruthless as the betrayal that had birthed it.